There's a number on your screen that changes everything. It's not just a price, it's a key. And at this precise moment, that key is just turned in a lock that most people didn't even know existed. A lock built not by traders, but by central bankers in quiet rooms in Basel, Switzerland. The number is $72 per ounce for silver. The lock it opens is found in the dense 1,000-page rulebook known as Basel IV. This isn't a market prediction. This is a mechanical, pre-programmed systemic shift that, once activated, forces the largest financial institutions on the planet to change their behavior. It's a change that could permanently alter the very structure of the precious metals market. We are not watching a trade, we are watching a compliance protocol execute. This is the story of how a simple price threshold can trigger a forgotten law, and how that law can trigger a bank panic, not of selling, but of a frantic, unavoidable, and price-insensitive buying spree that leaves the public market empty. To understand why $72 is the tripwire, you have to understand what the Basel Accords truly are. They are the global operating system for bank safety, written by the Bank for International Settlements, the central bank for central banks. Think of them as the source code for the global financial system, dictating how much capital a bank must hold to keep itself from collapsing. After the 2008 crisis, Basel III introduced a crucial change. It started to treat physical gold, held in a bank's own vault, as a Tier 1 asset. This is the highest quality, zero-risk collateral a bank can have. In the eyes of regulators, it became better than a German bond or a U.S. Treasury. But silver, platinum, and palladium were left in a regulatory gray area. Banks had to set aside significant capital to hold them. Basel IV, the latest iteration now being phased in, hardens the system into concrete. Its central weapon is something called the output floor. Imagine every bank has its own complicated model for calculating risk. Basel IV says, you can use your fancy math, but you cannot come out with a capital requirement lower than our simple formula says. Under this new math, the treatment of different assets diverges wildly. Unallocated, paper promises on metals, the kind of we owe you silver that dominates the London and COMEX markets, are penalized heavily. They are seen as counterparty risk nightmares requiring banks to hold huge amounts of capital against them. But physical metal, held in a secure, audited vault, its treatment becomes extraordinarily favorable. The regulatory incentive shifts overnight from holding efficient paper IOUs to holding the tangible, real asset. The rule screams through every Bank S risk management dashboard. If you have exposure to precious metals, for the survival of your capital ratios, you must make it physical. So why $72 for silver? This is where cold regulation collides with hot market psychology. The $70 level is a historic generational barrier, the ghost of the 1980 Hunt Brothers peak. Breaking $70 is a headline that shatters decades of price memory. But crossing and holding $72 is the critical confirmation. It S the signal that breaches the noise threshold in the bank, zone compliance algorithms. For the risk models inside major global banks, a sustained break above $72 changes the fundamental classification of silver AES market volatility and its liquidity profile. In regulatory speak, a high-quality liquid asset is something you can sell immediately in massive size without moving the price. The entire paper-silver market is built on this classification, but a $72 silver price, backed by reports of soaring physical premiums and delivery delays, starts to flash red warnings in those models. The algorithm detects an anomaly. The theoretical liquidity of the paper contract is diverging from the real-world liquidity of the underlying asset. The system's confidence in the paper claim erodes in real time. At that point, the only asset that satisfies both the Basel IV capital requirement and the liquidity safety requirement is the physical metal itself, held in allocated form. The bank's software, designed for survival, effectively flips a switch. The mandate is no longer to maximize trading profit. It is to immediately minimize regulatory risk and shore up the bank's core capital. The best collateral for that job is no longer a treasury bond. It becomes physical silver bars in their own vault, on their own books. We have a stark precedent for this: gold after Basel III. When gold's treatment improved to Tier 1 status, we saw a steady, relentless accumulation by central banks and major institutions. They weren't chasing momentum. They were executing a balance sheet optimization strategy dictated by new rules. The price rose as a secondary effect. Basel IV applies that same financial engineering to silver, but with an explosive twist. The silver market is orders of magnitude smaller and tighter than gold. The entire above-ground stock of investable silver bars is a fraction of gold's. There is not enough physical silver in London, Zurich, or New York to satisfy even a minor portfolio shift from the global banking system. A single major bank deciding to allocate a mere fraction of a percent of its balance sheet to physical silver would consume multiples of the entire COMEX registered inventory in one order. This is where forced buying becomes a panic. It won't be one bank acting alone. It will be a synchronized, silent, and desperate scramble by dozens of major institutions, all responding to the same regulatory alarm bell at the same time. Their algorithms will be screaming the same warning. They won't be placing bids on the COMEX screen. That market will be too small, too shallow. They will be on encrypted lines to major refiners, to wholesale distributors, and to the firms that control vaults. They will be asking for tons, not ounces. They will be leasing cargo planes and arranging armored convoys, not clicking buy on a terminal. This is balanced cheat buying, and it is fundamentally price insensitive. The bank isn't buying to make a 10% return. It's buying to avoid a massive capital charge on its paper positions and to secure an asset that bolsters its survival. The price becomes a secondary concern to the acquisition itself. The immediate consequence is what we can call the great divorce, the permanent decoupling of the paper and physical markets. The spot price on your screen may become a ghost, a number for a derivative that no longer has a functional connection to its underlying asset. The real price will be the all-in physical price, the spot plus the premium for immediate guaranteed delivery, and that premium will detach and soar into the stratosphere. We could plausibly see a $72 paper price and a $120, $150, or even $200 physical price to get a 1,000-ounce bar delivered. The banks, with their direct pipelines and sheer financial power, will suck the wholesale physical market dry. This will leave ETFs facing a suspension of new share creations, turning them into closed-end funds trading at massive premiums. It will leave industrial users facing existential supply crises, potentially leading to rationing, and it will leave the COMEX facing immediate, catastrophic delivery failure. Its only recourse would be to declare an emergency and cash settle all outstanding contracts, an event that would instantly vaporize its credibility and send every remaining buyer screaming into the physical market, creating a feedback loop of pure panic. This is the true systemic shift. It moves silver from the periphery of a high finance to the center, recast as critical monetary infrastructure. It becomes systemically important collateral in a strained, over-leveraged global banking system. The $72 trigger isn't about investors winning a bet. It's about massive institutions complying with the survival protocol. And in that compliance scramble, they will passively, and perhaps unknowingly, redefine what silver is worth on a fundamental basis. If you hold paper silver, an ETF, a futures contract, a pool account, you hold a claim on a financial system that is being legally incentivized to abandon your very type of claim in favor of the real thing. Your ETF share may grant you a cash profit, but that cash may no longer be able to purchase the physical metal it once represented. If you hold physical silver in a form you control, you are holding the precise asset the system is now compelled, by its own rulebook, to chase. You are, in effect, standing at the only well in a desert where the water just became legally mandated for survival. The Basel IV trigger transforms the market from a trading pit into a collateral hunt, and the price of admission is no longer dollars, it's possession. The number is 72. The law is written. The algorithms are live. The shift, once triggered, is automatic and merciless. The only remaining variable is which side of the vault door you're standing on when the great machinery of global finance grinds into motion to secure what it now must own. Thanks for watching. If you found this information valuable, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive.